Hey everyone, it's Drew. So this is going to be a pretty concise video today. I am, of course, today being a real estate coach and dad to a 7-year-old. So my name is yelled. We may end abruptly, but he's doing great. So I think we will be fine. But what I wanted to do is, again, go over the real estate statistics for Lexington and West Columbia for the month of October. And of course, we're going to use some trailing data from months before to see what patterns we're seeing. You're probably hearing all over the news about the market changing, dropping in price. This is why these videos are so important, as I'm going to show you the true stats. So let's just go ahead and get straight to it. And of course, my boy's always like, Daddy, this is boring. If it saves you enough money to make an extra mortgage payment, take a family cruise, knowing the numbers can really make a difference. And it, of course, helps you act confidently. We're going to start with Lexington. These two slides I'm going to show you, Lexington, of course, has the most sales. Now, we're going to see, this shocked me a little bit, but there is a little bit difference in the pattern, and it made sense after I thought about it. But let me break it down. So in Lexington, I like to focus on 3 different price categories: under 250,000, 500, 250 to 500,000, which is now the bread and butter, because Lexington, the areas I'm using, is really big. It's Lexington 1 school districts. So a lot of people gravitate to those schools. That's where you get a lot of the suburbs. You get, the 4-bedroom, 3-bath house, it's kind of the typical new construction, what people are aiming towards. And then the last part is the 500 and plus. That used to be more like Lake Murray, and it still is, of course, because it's plus. But, now we're seeing houses that used to be in the 3s, 4s, enter the 5s, and now starting to drop back to the 4s. But we want to pay attention and see if there is any changes in the trends. If there are, then we still have to evaluate, is the trend change based on the regular real estate trend, like seasonal trend, or is it different? So let's get straight to it. Okay, so as far as the amount of sales, obviously through the summer there was more. September, we saw a good drop off from 81 to 57, which I believe was seasonal. Then from 57 to 53. So that hasn't changed drastic. I'm sorry, those are the new listings. As far as the solds are staying pretty consistent. The properties that are going on the market, about the same amount are selling. So that's telling us we're not getting a huge amount of extra inventory, which is obviously going to help us. The leading indicators are going to be the days on market. And if we look at the list to sales ratio, that's going to start telling us if all of a sudden the buyers are starting to get more of an advantage. And so let's take a look at that. So average list this month in that first category, it did drop a bit. And same with the average sale. The month before, the average sale was 211. This month, 188,000. Again, we always have to research a little bit more if we see a trend we want to investigate, because that could be one neighborhood that is just designed more like patio homes, townhomes. It could be just one segment that just had more sales to change the statistics. So instead of looking at the actual dollar figure, I like looking at the list to sale ratio. Last month, it was 99.78. And the months before that, it was over list price, meaning properties that sold usually sold a little bit more than what it was listed for. Now we're down to 98.9%. So that's another 1% drop. And the days on market, 8, 13, 19, 25. So we are starting to see, again, 25 is not bad. Back in the day, it used to be 90 days on market was the average. So 25 is still a short amount of time to have your house on the market and sell, but we are seeing a small trend change there. Okay, as far as the 500,000, again, the amount that hit the market was a little bit less than September. This is one of the bigger gaps, and September was too, as far as the difference between what hit the market and what sold. But again, it's not that bad. So we're not seeing just an overpiling of inventory. Days on market, 27. That was similar to last month. And then the average list to sales ratio, 98.5, whereas before it was 99%, then 100%, then 97. So again, we got to be monitoring this. This is telling us that things are starting to sell for less than list. That's important to know, both for buyers and sellers, for expectations. And of course, buyers, we want to make certain that we get you the best deal. And sellers, we want to make certain that we position your property correct. So anyways, a little bit, I wouldn't even say a trend change in the 250 to 500,000, but under the 250, we may want to investigate. Now, as far as the top tier, I'm in the way. So, anyways, what we're seeing here, and the 500,000 plus, there's usually less listings and sales. So we take this category with a grain of salt. But if we see the sales to list price ratio change, the higher price tier leads the way typically. So that's when we got to say, okay, let's start paying attention. And the days on market here hasn't really changed that much. The sales to list ratio, this is one of the lowest I've seen in 5 to 6 months. So what we probably want to do is go look at those 10 properties, see if one of them overly skewed that number, or if we are starting to see a change. So now West Columbia, let's go there. And I showed Lexington, and usually Lexington, the West Columbia area, match up pretty well. Lexington tends to have a higher price point because there are more of the Lexington 1 schools. And they're usually bigger houses because it's, just more, they're focused around the kids. The West Columbia and Casey, in this case, the numbers did better than Lexington. And that actually makes sense after I stopped to think about it, because right now that market is not, people in Lexington, if you're focused on, you look at having 2 children, trying to get in the school districts, trying to time it in the summer. If you're in Casey, you probably aren't as worried about that, or possibly West Columbia. So therefore, with it being less seasonally dependent and a little bit lower tier price point. So again, we're seeing right here. Anyways, the sales to list price ratio is holding up better in West Columbia and KC for the month of October. Days on market stayed about the same. Sales to list price ratio actually went up slightly, but again, it was almost exactly at list price. For the 250 to 500,000, look at that. We only had 25 new listings and 40 sold. So right now, that means there's actually less inventory than a month ago. Average list price of $296. They were selling for $293. Days on market 15, where I think there were 30. Let's switch over. There are 27 in Lexington. So, they're selling a little bit quicker in West Columbia and Casey. Now, the 500,000, we always see less properties at 500,000 and above on the market in West Columbia and Casey. And so we did not have any new listings or sales reported to give us any trend changes. So anyways, that's what we're seeing. The numbers are still holding up better than I personally expected to see. I thought we would see much more of a dip. Right now, it's weird because every day I'm getting more emails, price adjustment. This is priced better, price reduction, just all these different terms for we've lowered the price, we've lowered the price, we've lowered the price. So sellers are starting to lower the price, starting to understand, we need to sell in this market. One of the things I would highly recommend is if you're thinking of selling in this market, reach out or if you're trying to figure out your options, I got a great tool which will help you figure out, do you want to sell? Do you want to rent it? Or do you just want to stay? All 3 of those options can be very valid. It just depends on what your ultimate goal is and what your situation is. So again, I hope this helped. I hate hearing the news where they just try to find facts that meet their opinion instead of the opinion understanding why the facts are what they are. So this is me being as transparent about the real estate market as possible, here to let you know when I start seeing trend changes, the best way to structure things based on the current market. Good news right now is we have not seen a huge change in the market. Again, Lexington is starting to tell us a little bit, possibly more, as far as all of these sales to list price ratios went down and all the days on markets went up slightly, but that is still something we need to pay attention to. Reach out to me if you need anything, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.